help me with this Tennessee situation. Who does Tennessee think that they can still get?
I'm not sure, Dan. They have blown this about as badly as I've ever seen, and that's saying something when you consider watching coaching searches. You can pull out any cliche you want. They're very difficult to watch in real time, but in this case, Tennessee has made critical mistakes from the beginning. The fans thought they were going to get John Gruden, which you and I both know they were never going to get, and then they waited several days for Dan Mullen. And he slow-walked them and ultimately chose Florida. And Greg Schiano was the backup choice. And I agree with everything you have said. The only thing I fault the athletic director for not being aware that was a potential problem. And from all indications, it caught him off guard, which I think led him to completely overreact. What happened yesterday in real time on social media is about as embarrassing as anything I have seen in relation to at least a college sport. I realize there are many other more egregious things that have happened on social media, but several people began this campaign against Schiano by propagating the Penn State situation. And what was even more distasteful is that several state representatives, without knowing anything,
I know,
just jumped into the fray and started tweeting at the athletic director, and then students showed up because, hey, there was nothing else to do on the Sunday after Thanksgiving, and before you know it, Greg Schiano's reputation was tattered and torn and shattered, and Tennessee backed out.
Yeah, I don't want to hear a politician involved in this. I don't, and I feel bad for Schiano, who I don't know. He wouldn't have been my first candidate, my top choice, but. I don't know how you vet this, though, Paul, that all of a sudden this new athletic director who's hadn't even been on the job for a year is going to go, you know what, just this rumor, innuendo, hearsay, throwaway line, how many years ago at Penn State is going to come back and haunt me by hiring this guy. I got to be fair to Curry. I don't know if he had any, obviously blindsided. I don't know how he could have seen this coming.
No, well, listen, that's fair, but at least be aware that there's a potential issue with Schiano, and be prepared for it, and know what the facts are. And by the way, if he knew yesterday what we know today, he would have probably said, you know what, I'm going to grin and bear it. I'm going to bring this guy in. I'm going to explain it, and have knowledgeable people explain that this was really overdone. But instead, he caved in, and that's probably the saddest part of it.
Yeah.
And I think what it says is, I mean, if you're the next man up, you're going, do I want to work for this guy? And I think that's an issue that, and it just, as someone, Dan, let me come to the altar and confess my sins. As someone who does a talk show where a lot of this goes on, I don't want to act like I'm a virgin here. This is not news to me that fans can rise up, but I just don't like the way it was done. It was done maliciously. It was done as an angry mob. And I really, by the way, I went to school at Tennessee. Not that matters, but it's something that, I care about like anyone would care about their alma mater. And I really wonder what the future is because, quite frankly, the last 10 years have been a total embarrassment. And I'm not sure what the next couple of years look like after this.
What about T. Martin?
It's actually a pretty good idea. He quarterbacked Tennessee to its last really good day in college football, winning a national championship. Ironically, T. Martin came in and won the championship the year after Peyton Manning left, which is something that it's a footnote or maybe a Final Jeopardy question. But he's at SC. He has not. There's always been some distance between T and the university, but at this point, he would be a good choice. I'll throw one even more bizarre. It doesn't even seem that strange today. Yesterday, it would have seemed like the upset of the millennium. But Lane Kiffin's not a bad choice either.
Hey, okay, sure, why not?
He's been there before. He left after a year, and he's done a great job since.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV or download the Dan Patrick Show app.